What's going on? Merry Christmas, Jeromes. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to you and yours. And yes, I'm wearing the gear of football teams that have let me down this last weekend. Liverpool drawing. Team that's top of the table, Arsenal drawing at home. Sure, but no. And then the Vikings. We know what to do. But it is Christmas and holidays time. People always reflective, and just want to say again, thank you very much for making us part of your day. We respect that, and it's a whole thing about respect too. Is that I feel like the true Jeromes. Like, do you have to drink the purple Kool-Aid? No, but overall, just expressing opinions and ideas and hopes about our favorite football team in a respectful manner. I think that's all important, and I am really happy about this. Really happy and glad and thankful for this community that we built, and it is one of those family that you choose, not the family you're born with, sort of situations, and hopefully we'll be rewarded one day. Might not be this year, although they still have a shot. We'll see. Anyways, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to you and yours. And I don't know. Let's just play spoiler the rest of the way. Like, beat the piss out of the Packers, beat the piss out of the Lions, and then also, if and when the Vikings get the playoffs, just beat the piss out of whoever is in there. All right, so keep Skull alive, all that stuff. So we put out some inquiries for some Christmas Day Q&As, pick the 10 best. I think that's maybe what we'll do from now on, because I looked at the Q&A video from last week, and it was 40 minutes. That might be a little bit too long. But so first up is Tyler Johnston guitar. What do you think we should pay Kirk, and for how many years? Future QB plan. For me, I think the best quarterback scenario for the Vikings, probably the most likely, is you extend Kirk. I think that given Kirk's injury, given Kirk's age, I think that could tamp down the market. Also, I think Kirk genuinely doesn't want to leave. A great situation here. And I think that could lead to Kirk leaving a little bit of money on the table. So I could see a 2-year, $80 million deal with $55 million guaranteed, most of it in year one. I could see something like that. And also, just because you extend Kirk, I don't think that precludes you from drafting a quarterback in the first or second round. I think that's also on the table. So you would have Kirk. You would have, I don't know, maybe Nick Mullens is back. Yeah, I don't see Dobbs being back for whatever reason. And also you got Jaron Hall, who's on his rookie deal, and rookie TBD. I think that's pretty good. Next up, Nathan Perzuels. Nailed it. What is the biggest offseason move you think the Vikings need to make outside the quarterback room? So outside of deciding what you're going to do with quarterback, and outside of re-signing JJ, which is the obvious answer, you got to beef up that defensive line, man. And you saw against the Lions, their game plan was to pound the rock with Gibbs, with Montgomery, and the Vikings defensive line was thin to begin with, and Harrison Phillips playing out of position all year. And also he had a back injury. Bullard was dinged up. The Vikings got bullied up front. And beyond Mullens and his 4 interceptions, beyond the crooked officiating, the Vikings' defensive inability to stop the run was a major reason why the Vikings lost on Sunday, allegedly. Knack Dog. Just adding bodies, whether free agency and especially in the draft along the defensive line guide. Next up, Knack Dog. After the heartbreaking and depending on how you feel last 2 games go, what would be your draft strategy be on quarterback in the first round? We are at pick 14 right meow. Who's your guy? And what is the compensation move up for him? P.S. Don't forget to draft Tavondre. So Tavondre Sweat, 360-pound nose tackle from the University of Texas. Hook him, baby. I need him. I need him. This defense needs him. So for quarter, so Vikings right now, I think are at 14. That's what he said. I didn't look, but I think that the steam around Jaden Daniels is legit. I think he'll end up being a top 10 quarterback. I think there will be three quarterbacks taken in the top 10. Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels. I'm still steadfast. I think that after all the draft process is done and the underwear Olympics and the pro days, I think Drake May goes 1. I think there's sufficient question marks with Caleb Williams that some teams may balk. But I think Drake May, with his size and arm and upside, I think that he'll go 1. Jane Daniels. I mean, Jane Daniels is a lot of fun. Could Caleb Williams be quarterback 3 in this class? I don't think it's as crazy as it sounds, but say Williams, May, and Daniels go top 10. Say that's a little bit pricey and spicy for the Vikings. Now, the rest of the quarterbacks have some question marks, but I still think that there probably will be 6 QBs in the first round. And, Penix, Penix a dog, man. Playing for the Huskies, made some great late-game heroics, led some great game-winning drives, but there's a lot of question marks about his knees. Tore multiple ACLs back in Indiana. But if those medicals check out, Penix looks good in purple. Not going to lie. And they got Bo Nix. So there's a lot of questions about Bo Nix. Does his skill set translate to the NFL? I think people hold his Auburn tape too much against him. Oregon, their offense is adjacent to Tennessee. And a lot of questions about Hendon Hooker there, but I do think that a lot of Bo's game will translate to the NFL, and I think that the offense at Oregon isn't because that's the only offense he could run. I think that he was just a part of the offense, as opposed to the offense being built around him because that's all that he could do. And they got JJ McCarthy, kind of a similar situation to Bo Nix. So the Michigan Wolverines, with Corum and Harbaugh wanting to ground and pound, and McCarthy's got a great arm. He's got great athleticism. I think he's like his athleticism is sort of Josh Allen-ish. Yeah, and I think that he has a good arm. I think that he can make throws at all 3 levels. I think that he can make plays on and off script. And I think that he is going to be a guy in the draft process that teams will fall in love with traits more than straight-up college production. So I think that McCarthy, JJ, Dynamite, although for the love of everything that's holy, also I think Penix, Nix, and McCarthy would be in striking range for the Vikings in the first round, no matter where they end up, although it's going to be at 32. I still believe, man. But if the Vikings draft McCarthy, I cannot take all the JJ to JJ puns. Can't take it. Can't do it. Won't do it. Next. Chill Dill. Did KJ earn an extension? Should we resign him? He was reliable today and has stepped up a year, but not like Jordan Addison did for us in JJ's absence. Well, if KJ comes back, it's pretty clear that he's wide receiver 3. And, what's a wide receiver 3 contract nowadays? $4 million a year. Would KJ sign that, or would he find a place that is so bereft of receiver talent like Kansas City, like Arizona? And could he get some more money there? Although, if he was a free agent after last season, I think he would get more money than this year, but I don't know. It was odd that KJ disappeared when JJ was out, but then also after Kirk got hurt, you could say it's Dobbs, it's Mullens, it's etc. But I love me some KJ. I was hoping for a little bit more from him this year, especially early on in the season, but sort of is what it is. I would love to have KJ back at the right price. Duke of Awesomeness. Which injury from today frightened you the most? Addison, just looks like an ankle sprain. Hopefully it's not a high ankle sprain. Blackman. So Blackman, he went out, but it looked like he got hurt, or he looked like he had a chest injury on the Gibbs touchdown. One of them. I don't know. There's so many to choose from. But I think the Hockenson one scares me the most. Because you listen to Kevin McConnell's post-game presser, it didn't sound great. And also, if it is a serious knee injury, it's late in the season, so that could impact his availability during OTAs and even training camp. So, I don't know. And I'm obviously not a doctor, but there's a niche of Twitter users who are supposed doctors, and not people just speculating, but people who actually are supposedly MDs. And a lot of them mentioned patellar injuries, which could not be good. Yeah, but hey, Kirby Joseph. Great job, buddy. Cool. Biting kneecaps out there just like your coach wanted. Last 5. Bob MN Cards. Where was Daniil and the rest of the D-line pass rush for the Lions yesterday? Merry Christmas, by the way. Merry Christmas back at you. It's a very good question. So, I mean, Wanham got hurt. God, I forgot Wanham got hurt too. They look like a non-contact quad injury. That one might be more serious than Hawkinson. And that sucks, man. Patrick Jones second looked decent. I also got a completely BS roughing the passer call on what would have been 3rd and 24, but not that I'm bitter. But yeah, I mean, the Vikings defense was decimated by injuries, and they needed Daniil Hunter to have a talisman type game, but he didn't. And part of it was the Lions did a great job of seeking out 99. Now they certainly held him probably like a half dozen times minimum. But the Lions, I mean, respect. They do have one of the better offensive lines in the game, and basically they sold out to make number 99 a non-factor. And they were like, hey, other guys, try and beat us. And yeah, it just didn't quite happen. And Fuji water. God, really sucks that my eyesight is going. How much blame should go to the Wilfs? Under their ownership, the team has always seemingly been good enough to fill seats and sell merch, but never good enough to get a championship. They get a few star players, a couple middle-of-the-pack coaches, and are very marketable, but the result is the same year after year. Well, the whole thing about it, too, is like you're building a culture, you're building momentum. You just don't go from the worst team in the league to win a championship, then back down. Unless you're the Buccaneers, kind of. Yeah. But I mean, that's been the MO of the Vikings, like going back to, I don't know, like when Winters owned the team. So I don't think it's necessarily the Wilfs. I do think that the Wilfs want to win a Super Bowl. I do think that the Vikings and the Wilfs invest in facilities, they invest in coaches, they invest in personnel. And they stay out of the way. Like, they hire people to do the job, and they let them do the job. I love that Ziggy, Mark, and Lenny aren't, on the radio every week like Jerry Jones. I love that they're not overly meddling like Jim Irsay or like Daniel Snyder was. I love that they're not freaking David Tepper. So, overall, I think the Vikings have great ownership, and it's a spot where, could you say that maybe they get comfortable with being good? And good is the enemy of great, possibly. But, again, would you rather they be like Jimmy Haslam? I mean, just fire your GM and coach every other year, minus some stability now with Andrew Berry and Stefanski? Noel MW, where do the Vikings go from here? It's a good question. So, as of right, meow, where'd it go? All right, so as of right, meow. The Vikings are 7-8 allegedly. They host the Packers Sunday Night Football next Sunday on New Year's Eve, and then of course they got the low energy Detroit Lions on January 7th at sometime TBD. It's probably going to be just a noon game since I don't know if the Vikings had one today, beat the Packers, and Lions lost the Cowboys. Maybe we would be talking about Sunday Night Football, but not so much. And as of right now, here's where the Vikings stand. So, Vikings, basically everything that could go wrong went wrong on Sunday. So they lost. Seattle came back and beat Tennessee. Atlanta beat the Colts. And the Packers staved off the Panthers, the worst team in the league. No big deal. But so there's a three-way logjam at 7-8. If the Rams win at the Giants, and if the Seahawks beat the Steelers at home and the Vikings lose, they're eliminated. But the Vikings, if they are able to string together some wins, we'll be able to put together a decent conference record. And so that way the Vikings would have a chance to have some decent tiebreakers going on. Also, they beat Atlanta, which is important. Also, they actually, no, it's a four-way logjam at 7-8. But they also have the head-to-head against the Saints. And if they keep winning, they will have the head-to-head against the Packers. But also in multi-way tiebreakers, head-to-head is not important. So conference record is what's important. And if the Vikings win out, or at minimum split the rest of the way, I mean, they'll at least be 7-5. Ideally 8-4 with a conference tiebreaker, and 9-8 should be able to get in. And like I said, I know a lot of people will be like, "Oh, who cares about making the playoffs? They'll lose in the first round." It's fair. It's fair. especially with the Vikings injury stacking up, especially the new ones with Hawkinson and Wanham and Addison. It's just next man up, but eventually you run out of men. And it really sucks. But a couple things here. Number one, I would love to say the Vikings get in as the 7 seed and Detroit is the 2 seed. I would love to march in Detroit and just piss in their cornflakes and like upper deck them, just like take a dump in the top of their toilet and just like lay waste. It's hard to beat a team 3 times, and especially if the Vikings get a win in Detroit or do it again the next week. Go ahead. Or hey, say Philly ends up with the 2 seed and the Vikings end up as a 7 seed. Wouldn't it be just great to go into Philly and just drop a deuce? It'd be fantastic. And you could say, well, what if they lose? Well, what if they don't? It's not 100% that they lose. If it is, why even play the games? Thing. Number 2, it's a young team and it's a young coaching staff, and getting accustomed to playoff football is important because that's going to be the path forward. Wouldn't it be great to have like Ivan Pace Jr., healthy Addison, and company have more playoff experience? Yes. It's very, very important. And then lastly, with Justin Jefferson, you have a chance. I mean, hopefully you put Jaren Hall in there. Just let him sling it. Let him not throw 4 interceptions or 6 in 2 games, which would be great. But you will always have a puncher's chance with Justin Jefferson. JJ goes 2008 Larry Fitzgerald playoff mode. Let's see it, man. 2 to go. Paddle Daniil, JJ, Kirk, Darrisaw, pay 2, cut 2, who stays, who goes? Well, that's a great thing. They could keep all 4, but just for sake of the exercise, just factoring in age and cost, I'll say JJ and Darrisaw. Now, JJ and Darrisaw will get tier 1 pay at the respective positions. Daniil deserves $25 million per year. I mean, Kirk deserves $40 million per year. But Kirk is going to be 36. Daniil is going to be 30 in October, even though he's still firmly in his prime for the next couple of years. But if you had to choose 2, I'm taking the best wide receiver in the game, and I'm taking one of the best young left tackles in the game. And go from there. Last one, El Surrio. Will you please talk about how terrible Nick Mullens is? Nick Mullens can make some good throws, but every gunslinger, they're sweet and sour. Like, Brett Favre, for all the throws that he made some really terrible ones too. And with Mullens, it's hard to parse out because Nick Mullens has made some good throws, and the Vikings, put up 24 points in back-to-back weeks, which offensively, it's something that the Vikings didn't really do during the pass run out phase. I mean, look at the 10 points they scored against the Bears. Look at the 3 points they scored against the Raiders, right? But the trade-off is the interceptions just kill you. And, I mean, the Bengals won, before halftime, he took 6 to 14 points off the board in a game that went to overtime. And for the Lions, 4 interceptions, and that, the last one was a game ender. You had multiple wide open guys, but you just forced a duck to JJ. Nah. So, could you say that the offense has looked better than it had since halftime of the Saints game under Mullens? Yes. Could you say that Mullens also murders you with turnovers just like Dobbs did? Yes. Could Jaren Hall be better? I think that his floor is higher than Mullens. I also think that his ceiling would be higher. But also, I think that the average outcome for Mullens is probably higher these last 2 games since Hall is a rookie. But who knows? Who knows, man? But that's it. That's Christmas Q&A. 10 quick questions. Well, not really quick because we still went like 19 minutes. But again, very thankful for you guys and this community and this channel. And without the viewers, I mean, we wouldn't be doing this. And if it wasn't fun, I wouldn't be doing it. So have a blast every day talking some ball. And the Jeromes are fantastic. You guys are the best. Tough times together. We'll get through them. Don't worry. Keep your head up. Hold your head up high. Skull, no production value. Actually, maybe some.